Hello there. Today we're going to continue talking more about digital poster sessions. And something very important to consider for your digital poster session is how to condense information. So we'll work a lot on this, and there'll be quite a few class activities to work on this more. So one thing that I really want to stress to you is that you are taking your annotated bibliography and a position paper, and you are condensing it into a poster session with between 300 and 600 words of text that are not in long paragraph format, should be short sentences or bullet points. So it can be really overwhelming to figure out what is the main content, what do I need to put in this presentation, and how do I convey my message in that short amount of text. So, in order to create a successful poster session that quickly and effectively communicates what you want to get across to your audience, you need to plan how you are going to communicate certain information. You will communicate information through text and graphics that work together to convey your main point. So you may need to pay more attention to visual impact than a traditional paper, obviously. And then the restricted space of poster sessions requires careful condensing of ideas. So you don't have all the space in the world to convey this message. So you need to use the templates and the space on your poster session very wisely to plan and organize your information. You should also plan on creating several different drafts of condensed information. This will be another exercise that we will do. Just like traditional writing, you need to receive feedback on your work sometimes to make sure that you are going in the right direction. So I have a bunch of strategies for condensing and revising. There is an assignment at the end of this online module that will ask you to think more about condensing and revising. So the number one strategy that I have for you is focus. So unlike a 20-page or a long paper, this will only include 2 to 3 pages of text and graphics. Writers have very little space to fill when explaining complex ideas. And you need to try to focus as nearly as possible on central ideas that you need to convey. So during the next week or so when you're working on this, you really need to ask yourself several times over and over and over again, what ideas are the meat and potatoes of my work? So what is the most important to your topic, and what information do you really need to convey? So this may take a lot of thoughtful planning. One strategy for focus too is just to really try to find the most essential points of your paper to communicate. So strategy number 2 is to work from a drafted paper. A big cautionary tale with this is that you must use your annotated bibliography and final essay from Unit 2 from this course. So you have to use that same topic. You can't come up with something completely new just for the time constraints, and since you already have the information for designing, this will make this project a little bit more feasible and practical for you to do in this timeline. What are some obvious focal points for the digital poster session? What graphics or results do you really want the eye to focus on? The organization that we'll talk about more later. What should really stand out as something really big and important for your poster session? The compiled material will be too dense if you do not revise it carefully for the poster session. The next thing that I want to talk to you guys about is that maybe you think one strategy that I'd recommend is just to go through your position paper and to start to highlight things that you really want to use, and maybe cross out things that maybe aren't relevant to communicate in only 300 to 600 words of text. We're all different learners and we have our own preferred learning styles. So one big thing too is that some writers prefer to work from their own notes rather than a draft. They see the draft as too dense to revise and to cut down. So you can also take notes, and that really may be effective for you. One other thing that I want to talk to you today about is that you need to keep asking yourself over and over again about audience, focus, and purpose. So you should continuously question yourself about audience, focus, and purpose as you flesh out the chunks of your paper. So focus on a single message. What do I really need to convey in this little amount of space that I have? So for the graphics, let graph and images tell the story. You don't include an overwhelming amount of text. And then to keep it ordered, you'll want to keep the sequence well ordered and obvious. The next thing is to chunk information. So you'll need a working title and a list of facts or points that need to be communicated when you are chunking information for your digital poster session. You are absolutely going to want to use bullet points or short sentences to chunk your information down. Headings are another thing that we'll talk about too, just to make sure that the eye can logically flow through your own poster session. So for this presentation, I'm going to give you guys just a minute to look through this, and then we will talk about some of the strengths of this poster session. Also try to zoom in a little bit for you. So just review this just for a minute on your own. So some things that you may notice is the amount of white space or blue on this. All the graphics also work towards the main point. So the methods graphic shows how the data was collected. The results clearly show what is found visually. You'll notice that the introduction is one very short paragraph, and then the rest of it is all in bullet points. Also really like with the discussion that it is in bold, so you can see the main points to take away from this. There's not an overwhelming amount of graphics. There's not clutter. A few things that I think could be a little bit different is that the author's names could be a little bit bigger, the title could be a little bit bigger, and maybe the introduction could be a little bit shorter, just to really quickly communicate those main points again. So then the next strategy I have for you is to carefully plan how to organize your digital poster session. So you'll need to make a flow diagram, a group of ideas and facts, or sketch out your ideas on a poster board. So basically you'll need to map out your information before, and when preparing text, a good idea is always to keep it simple. With figuring out how to structure this too, the biggest thing that I recommend is to look at examples. There will be an entire presentation later devoted to examples. And right now, go back through the presentations, and I'm trying to put at least one example poster session in each and every single presentation. The next thing to consider is the audience. So remember that your audience will only carry a few ideas away with them. And you need to really consider how you can convey your message in quickly 5 minutes. It is not likely that someone will stand and look at your poster session for longer than 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. So we really need to focus on how to quickly get that information across. We are talking about this now too early on in this assignment, so you can consider layout early on. Poster designers and writers need to consider layout early and often as they write and revise text and graphics. Pictures and words must work together to amplify, clarify, and extend the focal point of the poster. So that's why we are doing this now. You also really need to, as I've said before, really hone in on everything you put in your poster session needs to relate to a carefully crafted message, and you need to start to figure out what that message is now. And you must be able to state your main points in conclusion clearly, like in the example poster session with the manatees. They had the bolded text in the discussion. We'll just go back really quick. This clearly says what they found and what they are looking for. Another common question with the digital poster sessions is how much room do I have? So determine the size requirements. For this course, I suggest 2 by 3 feet poster. There will also be more templates for you to work off of when we start designing after this unit. So right now we're just kind of figuring out the main message. The next unit will be designing, and then it will be finalizing and editing. So area available determines what you can fit, what you'll have to leave out, the layout, and how things will be organized. This is just a little timeline for you to review on your own. We're basically following this in class. So make sure after you watch these quick videos that you go through and review the material on your own too. Maybe take some notes on additional things that I said. One other thing that I want to show you guys before this presentation is over. Also want to make sure that you guys have the URL for this website up here. So this is from projects.ncsu.edu, and if you guys, this is also in the reference page of this. So if you guys just review some of this material on your own, I think that this is absolutely a fantastic resource for you when you start to work on this more. There's also a bunch of templates on here, and we will continue to review information from this too. So as always, let me know if you have any questions, and have a good day.